On a Halloween night in New York, the Plaza Hotel transforms into a stage of luxury and mystery, filled with lavish costumes and a high society that hides its secrets behind expensive masks. But amid this perfection, two completely opposite worlds are about to collide. Jake, a simple mechanic from Detroit, arrives at the event unaware that his life will change forever. He was called for a simple job, to fix the party's sound system. What he didn't know was that a simple table change would lead him directly to Emily, the daughter of the CEO of one of the largest corporations in the world. Emily, with her melancholic gaze and a wheelchair that symbolizes not only her physical disability but also the weight of her family's expectations, lives in a world where no one truly sees her for who she is. She is the CEO's daughter, a powerful woman, but imprisoned by her father's expectations and the loneliness she carries. She feels invisible, marked by a name she never asked for and a life she didn't choose. When their paths cross by chance, an unexpected connection sparks between them. What seemed like just another simple mistake turns into something much deeper and more complicated. Jake, a man from humble beginnings, sees in Emily a genuine person, free from the masks the world demands. Emily, on the other hand, finds in Jake someone who sees her beyond her title and fortune, someone who truly understands her. But as their chemistry grows, so do the obstacles. Can their love survive in a world where social barriers are higher than anything else? Jake and Emily begin questioning everything they knew about themselves, what true love means, and how far they're willing to go to fight for it. She, the CEO's daughter, destined to live under the shadow of the name she carries. He, the simple mechanic, without the luxury she knows. Is what they have strong enough to overcome these differences? Or will destiny, with all its social and familial demands, separate them before they can discover the true meaning of love? Prepare for a story that blends forbidden romance, personal sacrifices, and impossible choices. Halloween will not only be a night of costumes, but the perfect backdrop for a life-changing transformation, where two people will have to choose between following the expected path or breaking away from everything to live a story that perhaps was never meant to be. It was a magical Halloween night in New York. The Plaza Hotel, adorned with soft lights and illuminated pumpkins, was filled with high society, everyone in their most luxurious costumes. The charity event was in full swing, and the air was thick with opulence and glamour. However, Jake, a simple mechanic from Detroit, had no idea what awaited him. His job that night was simple, to fix the sound system, but a mix-up led him to the wrong table. Unaware that he had sat at the VIP table, Jake found himself face-to-face with Emily, the daughter of the CEO of one of the world's largest corporations. She was alone, wearing a sophisticated Gothic dress that caught attention, but her gaze was distant, melancholic. A wheelchair accompanied her, but her charm and intelligence were undeniable. Jake, uncomfortable and a bit lost, tried to apologize for his mistake, but Emily, with a gentle smile, insisted that he stay. "It's no problem. Maybe you're the only one here who doesn't care about what I'm wearing or my last name," she said, joking. It was a joke, but Jake could feel there was more truth in it than anyone else could imagine. Destiny, with its peculiar touch, had brought them together that night. Amid the luxurious disguises and muffled laughter, Jake and Emily found themselves talking as if they had known each other for years, free from the weight of social expectations. The connection between them was instant, as if Halloween had removed all the barriers and allowed them to see each other in a pure way, without the masks the world forced them to wear. The event continued its course, but for Jake and Emily, the world seemed to slow down. They talked about everything and nothing at the same time. The misunderstandings of their lives, the unfulfilled dreams, the class differences, and the insecurities they carried. Emily, despite being the daughter of the CEO, was tired of being seen as a perfect figure, destined to be part of a world where she didn't fit. Jake, have you ever wondered why everyone expects so much from you? As if your worth is in a last name or how much money you have? Emily asked, staring at her wine glass, her eyes distant. Jake, unsure of what to say, just observed her. He understood the pain of being judged by a label. He, who spent his days working hard and never had the opportunities the rich had, knew what it was like to be seen only for what you do and not for who you are. I grew up in Detroit, you know. And sometimes, I feel like no one really cares about me, about who I truly am. We're just what others see in us, whether it's the mechanic, the rich one, or the CEO's daughter. We're never just ourselves, Jake said. Jake's words touched something deep within Emily. For the first time in a long while, she felt truly seen. Halloween, for her, had always been an escape, a night to hide behind a costume. But now, with Jake by her side, she felt she could simply be Emily, without the obligations, without the weight of the name or the wheelchair. Sometimes, I feel like everyone here just sees me as a symbol of what my father built, of what they expect from me. I've never been just myself for anyone, and it hurts, she confessed. Jake held her hand, wordlessly. Sometimes, silence spoke more than any response. There, in the darkness of a Halloween night, two strangers from different worlds met for the first time as human beings, without society's mask. Time passed quickly as Jake and Emily shared more of themselves. They decided to participate in the treasure hunt game, which at first seemed like a distraction from the party. But soon, they became an unbeatable team, laughing together, having fun with the riddles and clues. It was almost as if the rest of the world didn't exist. Emily felt more alive than she had ever imagined. She liked the way Jake treated her, like an ordinary person, without the weight of perfection or high society expectations. She began to wonder if there was more to Jake than she initially thought, and the idea of a world where they could just be themselves seemed increasingly appealing. I never imagined that a mechanic like you would have so much to offer. You have a different way of looking at life, she said with a smile. I don't know if I'd have the courage to live like you, not worrying about what others think. Jake chuckled softly, but his smile quickly faded. I learned to live without other people's expectations. It's not easy, but once you shed that, life becomes more honest. They were in the middle of the dance floor, their eyes glowing in the light of the pumpkin lanterns, and right there, in the warmth of a simple conversation, something deeper was happening. Jake and Emily were connecting in a way no one could have imagined. Halloween, which started as a night of fun, was now becoming something much more meaningful. A moment of transformation and freedom. After winning the treasure hunt game, both of them felt like they didn't want to go back to the party. The atmosphere had changed. Emily and Jake moved to a quieter corner, where they could talk without the distractions of the world around them. The music was more distant now, and the night seemed more intimate, as if time had slowed down. I always thought being seen as the CEO's daughter was the worst thing that could happen, but now I understand what you mean about being invisible. I'm the millionaire's daughter to everyone. They don't see what I really am. They see me as a symbol, like a trophy that my father shows off, Emily said, staring at the ground, her voice full of frustration. Jake, with a soft voice, looked her directly in the eyes. I never saw you as the CEO's daughter, Emily. I saw you as the woman hidden behind all of that. And behind that wheelchair, you're so much more than any image they've projected onto you. Emily took a deep breath, absorbing those words. For so long, she had believed that her life was defined by what others saw. But now with Jake, she was starting to understand that maybe she was more than the world allowed her to be. You really see me, don't you? Emily asked, her eyes filling with tears. I never thought anyone could look past my wheelchair or what people expect from me. Jake didn't answer with words, but with a simple touch of her hands. The gesture was enough for Emily to understand that, in that moment, she wasn't a wheelchair or someone's rich daughter. She was Emily, a woman with her own feelings and stories, now seen by someone who truly cared. The Halloween atmosphere seemed to have faded, but for Jake and Emily, tensions began to take the place of the lightness of the party. Both were immersed in their own reflections and insecurities. Emily, who had previously seemed relaxed and at ease with Jake, was now growing more distant, consumed by thoughts about her father and the expectations he had always imposed on her. Jake started to notice Emily's withdrawal. She became quieter, avoiding eye contact, turning away whenever he tried to talk about next steps or their feelings. She was trying to maintain the facade of a strong woman, but the fear and doubt were evident in her posture. He knew something was going on, but he couldn't understand what he was doing wrong. "I just don't know if I can continue this, Jake," Emily said, her voice trembling but firm. "My father. He's never approved of anything outside of the circle we're in. And you. You're amazing, but what would happen if people knew about this? If they knew that I, his daughter, was with someone like you?" Jake felt the weight of her words, as if a blade had cut through his hopes. "So, what are you saying? That everything we've shared here, this connection, doesn't matter because I don't belong in the world you live in?" Emily hesitated, feeling torn between her feelings for Jake and the weight of her father's expectations. She knew he was right. What she felt for him couldn't be measured by status or money, but the fear of disappointing her father was consuming her. "It's not that, Jake. I don't know if I can ignore everything my family expects from me." She abruptly stood up, leaving Jake sitting at the table, completely stunned. As she walked away, he felt lost, as if everything they had was beginning to unravel. He didn't know how to deal with the reality that, no matter how genuine their feelings for each other were, the barriers between them were much more than physical or emotional. They were social. The next day, Emily found herself confronted with a difficult reality to accept. She sat with her father at their home, the weight of her own feelings and external pressure consuming her. The CEO was talking about business, as he always did, but Emily's mind was distant. Jake's words still echoed in her head, and her relationship with him seemed like a distant memory of a life she couldn't live. "Emily," her father began, not looking at her, "I can't accept you getting involved with someone who isn't up to our family standards. Things don't work that way, you know." Her father's words cut through Emily like a knife. She knew he was right, but at the same time, the pain in her chest grew. She didn't want her life to be just about following society's rules or pleasing others. But the fear of disappointing him still held her back. She went to see Jake to try to fix things, but when she saw him, the words piled up in her throat. Instead of explaining what she felt, Emily pushed him away, telling him he was no longer part of her life. She explained that her family and her father wouldn't allow her to continue the relationship. It was better this way. Jake, with his heart broken, tried to understand. He couldn't accept that everything they shared had been in vain. "I understand, Emily. I'm not from your class, I'm not from your life. But please don't pretend that what we had here wasn't real. I'm not asking you to choose between me and your family. I just want you to know that I am who I am, and I saw you for who you really are." Emily, with tears in her eyes, turned and walked away from him. She knew she had done the right thing from her family's perspective, but she couldn't stop wondering if she was really doing the right thing for herself. Jake, aimless and heartbroken, decided he needed some time for himself. He returned to Detroit, the city that had shaped him, where expectations were low and the love for life's simplicity was always within reach. He no longer wanted to live in a world of luxury and status. He wanted to understand who he really was and question why he felt like the life with Emily was something he could never have. While in Detroit, Jake had the opportunity to reconnect with people he had known since childhood. He met up with an old friend, who made him remember the struggles he had overcome to get where he was. "You haven't changed much, Jake," said the friend, smiling. "You're still the same guy I knew back then. And that's what matters most." These words resonated deeply within Jake. He realized that, although the world around him had changed, he still kept his essence. His love for Emily should not be measured by society's expectations, nor by the opinions of others. He was who he was, and that was enough. Emily, for her part, also went through a process of reflection. After the painful rejection from Jake, she found herself once again confronted with her father's expectations. She had everything she could want in material terms, but she was unhappy. One day, while talking to her mother, Emily opened up. "I've never been happy trying to please everyone," she said. "I wanted more than that. I wanted to be myself without all these masks." Her mother, who had always supported her, finally said something Emily needed to hear. "You need to live for yourself, not for others, my daughter. It doesn't matter what the world expects from you. What matters is how you feel inside." At that moment, Emily made the decision that she could no longer live in the shadow of her father's expectations. She needed to be true to herself, even if it meant breaking with what everyone expected of her. Over time, Jake and Emily came to a similar conclusion. To move forward, they needed to first find the freedom to be themselves, without the social and familial barriers. Their future was in their own hands, and they were ready to rewrite their story. After days of reflection, Emily couldn't get Jake out of her mind. She felt a mix of regret and pain, knowing she had made a mistake by pushing him away. Despite all the pressures from her family and her position, she couldn't ignore the genuine connection they had shared. During Halloween, when they were free from expectations and masks, she saw a version of herself she didn't want to lose. Emily decided to take action. She knew her happiness depended on being true to herself, regardless of what her father or society thought. She could no longer live a life where she was only the CEO's daughter. She needed to be Emily, the woman she was when she was with Jake. With a heavy heart, she called Jake, unsure of what to expect. He answered after a few seconds, and his voice, though softer than before, was full of uncertainty. "Jake, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. You're important to me. I'm so sorry for everything." Emily's voice trembled, full of regret. Jake listened in silence, sensing the sincerity in her words. During the days they had been apart, he too had realized what the rejection truly meant for him. He hadn't been able to move on because what he felt for Emily was real. "I'm sorry too, Emily. Maybe I pulled away too quickly without trying to understand what you were going through. But I can't deny what I felt. I don't know what will happen, but I know I can't let you go." They met in the place where it all began, the Grand Hotel ballroom, now empty after the event. The Halloween lights still shone softly, a reminder of what they had lived. There, without another word, they embraced, understanding that they had overcome the greatest obstacles, their own insecurities and the pressures from the world around them. They were ready to move forward together, without masks. Despite their reconciliation, the greatest obstacle was still to come. The CEO, Emily's father, was not ready to accept the relationship easily. He called her for a serious conversation in his company's office, where Emily once again faced the weight of the expectations he had imposed on her since she was a child. "You don't know what you're doing, Emily. This man, he's not for you. He doesn't have what you need. He's not from our world." The CEO's voice was cold but tinged with desperation. Emily tried to remain calm. She knew it was a tough conversation, but she could no longer live under her father's rules. "I don't want to live to please you, Dad. I need to live for myself. I'm not your image, and what I feel for Jake is real. He makes me feel freer than I've ever felt, and that's what matters." Her father, still trying to convince her, used his power and influence to try to push Jake away, ordering that he be removed from any contact with the company and subtly trying to undermine his position. Emily, however, could no longer accept this. She knew her happiness was in her hands, not in her father's expectations. When she went to find Jake to tell him what had happened, he was concerned about the consequences. "I don't want to be a problem in your life, Emily. If your father's going to cause you more pain because of me, Maybe it's better if we stay apart." But Emily, with a firm look, replied, "No, Jake. I can't live in fear of the consequences anymore. I know what I'm doing, and I know we're doing the right thing. No matter what he does, we can't let him control our lives." Together, they decided to face the adversities and continue their relationship, regardless of the separation threats the CEO imposed. After confronting her father, Emily made a crucial decision. She wouldn't let anything or anyone separate her from what she truly wanted. Jake's support made her realize that life couldn't be lived in the shadows of what society or her family expected from her. The fight against expectations had only just begun, but now she had Jake by her side. The news of their relationship spread quickly, and many tried to intervene, but Emily and Jake remained firm in their decision. The CEO, though still trying to prevent the union, could no longer influence his daughter's choices. Halloween, which had started as a night of disguises, now became a symbol for them, a moment of transformation and rebirth. That year's Halloween party marked the end of a phase where they both lived under the masks of expectations, and the beginning of a new chapter where they were free to be who they really were. In the end, the confrontation with the past and the external challenges helped them grow stronger. Jake and Emily knew the journey wouldn't be easy, but now they were ready to face any obstacle, with courage and, most importantly, with the love they had found in each other. The Halloween that seemed to be just a party of masks transformed into the night when they both found true freedom, without barriers, without expectations, only the love that united them. If you were moved by this story of an unlikely love and the battle of two different worlds coming together, don't let this journey end here. What do you think fate has in store for Jake and Emily? Will they manage to overcome all the barriers that separate them? If you believe that true love can conquer any obstacle, like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts on this story, and share it with everyone who needs to see that sometimes the impossible happens. And don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel to follow more emotional stories like this, filled with twists, intense feelings, and characters that will touch your heart. Join our community and continue following this thrilling journey. More stories like this are on the way. Don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Let's explore together what fate has in store for all of us.